Hi there. Good morning, everybody. I wanted to welcome you to our panel discussion. We have three AISD teachers, Arlington ISD teachers with us for our panel on entrepreneurship in the career and technical education sector of our school district. I am Alicia Collins Butler, the Director of Education, Workforce, and Community Development for the Greater Arlington Chamber of Commerce. We're so excited to have you guys here for our Global Entrepreneurship panel this morning. So I'd like to introduce my panelists. We'll go ahead and start with Candace.
My name is Candace Ortega. I'm a welding instructor at the Dan Diper Career Tech Center. I've been working for Arlington for this is my 5th year.
Thank you. Welcome. And Lacey.
Hi, my name is Lacey Wood, and I teach floral design in a practicum class in floral design. I've been with Arlington for 5 years, and this is my 10th year teaching.
Thank you, and welcome, Lacey. And then we have Jamal.
Hello, my name is Jamal Harvey. I've been teaching for Arlington also for 5 years, teaching for a total of 11 automotive technology. Before then, I worked in the industry.
Fantastic. Well, thank you guys so much for being with us today. I know you're taking time out of your busy schedules teaching our children, our Arlington community's youth. So I want to dive real quickly into just our discussion today, talking about entrepreneurship in the trades and how one goes about that and how we educate our students. So today I would like to ask each of you to share more about your background and your educational pathway that led you into your trade, but then also led you to teaching. So we will start with Lacey.
So my background into, I guess, where I'm teaching now and what I'm teaching was kind of an interesting little start. But when I was in college, I knew I wanted to do something with animals, of all things. And so I ended up deciding to major in agriculture education. So I'm an ag teacher. But with the way things worked and the jobs that I got, my 2nd year teaching, I landed a job teaching floral design 8 periods a day. And I had no background in that. Didn't learn anything about it in college. So I came into it with, just like the students, we were learning it together that first year. What helped me though is the teacher I took over for was still with the district, so he came and taught me a lot of things. I took some classes over it through A&M and Texas State Florist Association to learn. But that first year was just kind of learning on the job, which helps me relate to the students a lot in a way because I know what they struggle with. This is the same things I struggled with when I first started. And so at this point, this is my 9th year teaching floral design. And it's been a lot of fun. And with that, we run a business through our classes. So we provide services to the public and the community.
That is awesome, Lacey, with the services that you guys provide to the community. And I definitely want to talk about that with each of you later on in this panel, because I think it's really unique for a high school campus to do that. So I would love to ask the same question to Jamal.
I started out my career in architecture, surprisingly. Went to school for architecture, worked for a firm as an intern. Loved art. It wasn't challenging me. I could not be stuck behind a desk. So I went to my second love, which was automotive technology. Went to school in the automotive industry, graduated, and was happy. I liked the fact that it was always something new. It was challenging. It allowed me to use my brain to figure out problems. But also realized that the most joy I got was assisting the younger technicians, in essence, teaching them, which led me into the position of automotive teacher at the school district. And so that's how I became a teacher. And it's good. Just like Lacey, our shop prepares the kids for the real world. We do have an open shop to where we can work on the vehicles of the public and generate funds. So I'm in essence a service manager. So this is as close to having my own business. as I can get.
That's awesome. And Candace?
I didn't start school to learn welding. I started school to be a nurse, and I quickly discovered that memorizing a bunch of stuff was not for me, that I prefer to be a hands-on individual. And I was terrified I wouldn't be good at the homework, the stuff for the nursing, and I found welding and thought, oh, I'll just use that for my get started back into school, see if I got my study skills and whatnot, because I didn't start until I was in my 40s, and took that first welding class, and that was it. I never took a nursing class after that. And I bought my first welder 6 weeks into my first welding class. Started doing repairs with that little welder. That week, within a month, I'd pay for my welder and had a couple $100 extra in my pocket. And I just kept going. Just kept going. The gentleman that mentored me, Charles Credicott, he kind of coached me and kind of pushed me a little bit into the teaching realm of it, because he thought I was good at helping the other students when I was in class, and I just ran with it. I like the aha moments when the kids, when they get it, when they say, oh, miss, you gotta look at this. That's the part I like about my job.
I love it. Impacting one student at a time.
Yes.
So I think all three of you mentioned something that is extremely important, that where you are today is not necessarily where you started and where you thought you were to end up. So I think that's also a really important message, not only for our AISD students, but just for the community in general, because, what you do yesterday may not be what you do next week. And so it sounds like all three of you have tapped your passion and you found what truly brings you joy, and that, certain pieces have led you to teaching. So I think that that's really important. And that is a underlying lesson within itself. So I definitely love your guys' responses. So AISD has done a really great job of bringing entrepreneurship into the spectrum of what we do through education. There's a number of programs, and I know this year is one where we have started a brand new entrepreneurship practicum program, so the internships for our high school students. So with that, and as that program grows, I know that entrepreneurship is going to become more and more and part of the conversations that we have with our students and with our teachers and administrators, and the community as well. So, entrepreneurship being part of that curriculum, how does that benefit your students who are working in a particular trade? And I will let Jamal answer this one first.
Entrepreneurship. We teach our students to be motivated, no matter what industry they're going into, if it's automotive or something else, because the traits that you will have as a business owner, you may work for no one, but in essence, you work for everyone. So the customers are your boss. And so we instill traits about, the ability to have conversations with people, the ability to be on time, be accountable, to critically think and problem solve, because if you own your own business and something goes wrong, you have to figure it out, or else your business is going to fail. And so that's kind of how we prepare them. Yes, they're going to need some further business classes and things like that if they choose to own it, because it is expensive. But the possibility is generally there, building up your clientele, becoming dependable, things like that.
I like that message. It's more about the soft skills and growing a human versus growing someone who's going to enter the workforce and be that workhorse. So I definitely like that personal aspect that you just provided and that you're sharing with your students. Candace, how about you?
I push them just to learn. I want them to be on time. I want them to be accountable. I want them to be responsible. I want them to be prepared that it's not going to be easy. Starting in a little business is hard. It's very expensive to get started. And I talk a little bit about my experiences in my business in the classroom, so that they kind of understand like what kind of things that I do and some of the stuff that I do. And if they don't want to have welding as a career, that they need to learn how as much as possible in my class so that they can go out and make extra money on the side, even if they don't want to do it for a career, that they could still put themselves out there to make a little bit extra money if they're short on cash and stuff.
I think that that's very vital also in the sense that you are providing them, what the real world situation is of it being expensive and setting them up for success versus, thinking that they have this great career that's right at their fingertips, and then realizing at that moment that they've graduated, oh man, all of these expenses to start, my own thing. So I love that you're giving them the real world experiences.
Well, there's also a deficit in the trades right now as well. There's welders needed, and only 1% of the population welds. So right now we need welders out there. There's jobs that are on delay in the field because there's not enough welders to fill those positions. And the pandemic didn't help any of that either, that it shutting schools down and such, that there's a deficit in people coming out of school that could actually weld. The guys that are retiring there's not people to replace them yet.
And I think you hit a huge point of, trades are really needed right now, especially in our region because of Snowmageddon. How many trades are working over,
Absolutely.
over capacity, and with not being able to get the equipment and the appliances that they need to make these fixes, or even the lumber shortage. There's a lot that's going on that it is affecting our trades, but you just nailed it with the labor force also of not being there to, even when the equipment does come in, there's not a labor force behind it. So I think that that's really important to draw attention to the trades of, it is a very respectable career. And right now, because there is a shortage, it's probably pretty financially beneficial to a lot of people in the trade.
Absolutely.
And Lacey, I would love to give you an opportunity to talk about how you equip your students in the classroom and kind of setting them up for that next step.
So in my class, since we do the business aspect of it, they kind of get to see the results of their work. We do a lot of pickups. We've done weddings and some quite large events. And because of that, they're getting that real world experience in the classroom, and then getting to see that apply, and then getting to see the reactions of the customers. And that really kind of boosts their confidence, and that really helps them want to even do better for next time. Obviously with floral design, and really all of our trades, it's probably stuff that they've never even thought about or done before. And so getting them to start off, they're scared, they need that confidence boost. But through repeating and getting those reactions from our customers, that really kind of boosts their confidence. By the end of the year, they see so much improvement. And then on the entrepreneurship side, everything that we do, I show them exactly, this is how much I paid for it. This is what we are charging. This is what a floral shop would charge. So if you did this on the side, this is what you should be charging. And this is the profit that you can make. And I really make a point to show them that profit side of it. So that kind of helps motivate them too.
Love that. And the students, when you're working with your students in the classrooms, are they, I know high school students can be looking at, the curriculum, or I'm in this class because I'm interested in it and I'm interested in the actual raw materials of what you're learning. But do you ever see those aha moments of a student who says, I get it, and that I want to make this my life, and I want to make this my career? So can one or multiple of you on here talk about those kind of aha moments to where you've seen it, like that light switch on in a student's brain of like, this is what I want to do, and then you just kind of see their drive take off?
I'll speak on that. I have one student, and he's with me this year, and Ms. Ortega knows who I'm talking about. When he came to me, he knew nothing about automotive. And within last year, even through the pandemic classes, this year, he is my top student. And he has that drive, he has that motivation, and that light that comes on where he brings his mother in and said, this is what I'm good at. This is what I want to do. Even though he wants to transition to Marine, it's still working with his hands, it's still figuring stuff out, but he has that aha moment, and he is taking off and sees the potential in it.
What does that do to you, as knowing that you have been that mentor for him to get him to that spot?
Just like now, everybody knows that visits my shop, whether it's the mayor or the superintendent, that I love talking about my students and I love bragging on them, and it makes me happy. It's why I do what I do, is because I can change somebody's life and show them a path or help them find their own path, and I'm ecstatic. That's why I tell them, this job may not pay much, but I have never woken up in the 11 years I've been teaching regretting coming to work each day. And when you can find a job like that, that's great. and that's how it makes me feel. And that's why that's what I love about it. Those instances where those kids' light comes on, or they realize that what they're doing in here, they can transition to other classes too, and it's just, and stuff like this. That is great.
Did anybody else want to share a story about an aha moment with a student?
I think it's great when I have students that have graduated and years later I still get a text or something on social media like, look what I made, look what I did. Because that's always awesome to see that they're still using the skills that I taught them. But whether or not that's actually a career field that they went into, they're still able to utilize those things.
Love that.
I still have students that come back from when I first started teaching, from my first year of school, that come back and talk to me and text me on the regular, and they come help me if I'm like, when I'm teaching a welding merit badge or something, they still come back. I like that when they say, hey, I got engaged, or, I kind of live vicariously through their experiences, because I didn't start my career till later in life. So when I get to see what they do, that's always awesome.
I love it. It's connecting and making those relationships, and the students find y'all of value as well. And so just to have those personal connections, I think, is wonderful and definitely much needed for our youth. So I want to talk a little bit more about, you guys mentioned some of the skills that you guys teach your students that are not necessarily hard skills, but they're more of the soft skills that are going to make them more successful in whatever they do, whatever industry they end up in. So what are some skills that you've developed for yourself over the years that you find particularly useful for your trade? And then how did you acquire them? And then one layer deeper, how do you try and share that with your students? And they can be hard skills or soft skills. And Candace, I'm going to go ahead and start with you on this one.
Tough love. It has to be tough love. Nobody's going to be nice to him out in the world. Nobody's going to give you a trophy for 17th place if you don't put in the hard work. You've got to put in the work to earn it. You have to earn it. You can't learn to weld just showing up. You actually have to put in the hard work to gain. In this class, you get whatever you put into it is what you'll get back out of it. If you slack off, you're not going to gain the ability that the guy that put 100% into it. You got to work hard. So it's kind of a school of tough love for me. If you're not on time, I'm going to gripe at you about it. If you are not doing what you're supposed to be doing, I'm going to gripe at you about it. You need to have expectations, and you need to meet the expectations. I try and set my expectations higher than they could possibly achieve. And then if the expectation is high, then that's good. But if it's a little bit low, I'm still going to gripe at you. That in the real world, if you don't show up on time, you're not going to have your job very long. That you've got to put in the effort. You've got to be accountable for your actions. And that's the biggest thing that I try and push, is the accountability, and you have to invest in yourself. If you don't invest in yourself, you're not going to make it.
That was beautiful. I'm so glad that you said that, because I don't know that there's You couldn't have said it better.
Thank you.
Lacey?
I think just kind of going off of that is, since I came from not knowing anything to what I know now, the one thing that I find that I always let them know is there's new stuff to constantly learn. I mean, when you make something or you become good at something, there's somebody out there who's better or figures out a new way to do it. And so it's definitely having that learner's mindset of, even though you think you have it down, you still need to be looking at what's trending, because things change all the time. You need to be looking at what skills are out there that can improve what you already know. Just because I know, like in floral design, flowers are not made the same like they were even just 10 years ago. And there's just new techniques always coming out. And so something I've always done is try to find at least one class to take every year, just so I can keep learning the newest, best techniques, and then I can share that with my students. And one thing I always tell them is, when I go to those classes, yes, there's a couple other ag teachers that are in there that teach floral design, but there's people from like grocery store floral shops. There's people from just regular floral shops. There's people who are in those classes that do it for their own business. And so everyone that has that growth mindset is really kind of putting themselves above everyone else.
Love that. Growth mindset. Love that. And Jamal?
Okay. My biggest thing is, again, critical thinking, figuring it out. I'll let students know, just like them, I've grown as a teacher. When I first started, I would show students how to do things. If they had a task to do, I would, okay, here's how you do it. And I transitioned to guiding them, letting them figure it out to get that aha moment. Again, just coming to a spot and using your resources to solve the problem. And, and let them know you only fail when you give up trying. But that is something that I took from the industry, because whether it was pride or not wanting to take another technician off of his job to come help me with something, I would use all available resources to try to figure it out myself. And so that's the message I try to convey to the kids. I had one student who, first year, he was kind of, oh, Mr. Harvey doesn't teach anything. He makes us go look it up. The next year, that kid became Auto Student of the Year. And again, after he graduated, he came back and said, thank you, Ms. Harvey, for making me search for information or where to look up stuff, because now I can do stuff at home where you're not around, and I can know where to find solutions to my problems. And so that's kind of what my biggest thing, how to solve problems.
And that's huge. I mean, whether you work in a business setting or you are an entrepreneur or whatever you do, that problem solving is a necessary life skill. I mean, personally, professionally.
It's with that, and that's where I convey it. With our problem solving, I tell them something's not just auto. What are you going to wear today out? And so you plan, what's the weather like? Where am I going? What do I have clean? And so you can translate those problem solving scenarios to every aspect of your life. And so that's what I try to get them to do.
And that's huge. So the crux of being an entrepreneur is largely based on finding a solution to a problem that exists in whatever you're doing. So I think that's an all-around necessary life skill. It's a huge skill for an entrepreneur. But one thing that all three of you mentioned, individually, you guys have your kind of tact of how you handle each of your students and what you provide them. But the one thing that kind of listening to all three of you that I heard was that you're setting the bar high. You're not meeting them at the level they're at. You're giving them the challenge to rise to the occasion. And I think that that's really important because, for students, they want to learn, they want to be challenged. And when they're not challenged is when you get low productivity or you're not getting the most out of them. You're not tapping their passion. So by challenging them, they're now in a competition with themselves to be better than they were the day before. And so I love that you are inspiring all of your students to rise to the occasion and really giving them that opportunity to learn and letting them know, Lacey, that, you know, you're still taking classes to do what you do, and that you guys are always evolving and always learning yourselves and instilling that growth mindset within your students. Love that. And that transcends to our community as well, of those who are out in the Tarrant County community that are interested in pursuing, you know, their passions. It takes work. You got to put in the work to get what you want out of it. And, you know, if that's something that you want to do, then that you can do it, but you've got to put in the work, and you've got to set challenges for yourselves and goals, and you've got to rise to the occasion. So I definitely appreciate you all talking about that. Because, you know, it's not necessarily the hard skills at the end of the day. It's what makes that transition to be successful. So I know that you guys work for AISD, and this may be a little bit of a difficult question, but I want to talk a little bit more from like the economy side of things. You know, Candace, you brought light to it with the pandemic really kind of wreaking havoc on some trades and causing some ripple effect. So how does the overall economy affect your trades, and what kind of trends are y'all seeing like right now? I mean, not necessarily individually, but, you know, those that you have friends in the industry, like, what are you guys seeing?
In my business, what I'm seeing is metal supplies and the cost of supplies. Like finding certain products are really difficult. Finding a certain size or whatnot of material, that's really hard to do. And metal prices are sky high right now. Everything is super expensive, and I get more phone calls than I can do. There's stuff that I just don't have. There's not enough hours in my day to do all the jobs that I get asked to do. And then the cost of materials is incredible, just absolutely incredible. And then of course, finding the materials, sometimes I'll have to call 10 or 12 places to find something. So it definitely has rippled down all the way. You know, I know wood's come back a little bit. I use some wood for some of the stuff I do too. Wood's come down a little bit, but I bet it stays just about right where it's at. I don't think it'll ever go back down to what it was, but steel is still incredibly high.
And
where I can get a quote one day and then the next, and then buy the material the next week, and it'll gone up $20 per piece.
And I'm assuming that translates into what you're charging your customers as well. So that's got more than, you know, if your costs are going up, then your costs being extended to the customer are going up as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And Lacey and Jamal, I know that you guys talked about the, you know, kind of the small business that you guys run within AISD with the students. Are you seeing similar aspects to what's going on in each of your industries too, with, you know, floral increases and part costs? Can you guys talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, floral, I mean, every industry is struggling right now. Floral, flower prices are the highest I've ever seen them. They're higher than what I would pay around Valentine's Day for flowers. Vases are almost impossible to get, at least the unique ones. They're all stuck on boats. And stuck for months. There's stuff I can't even get I need to put an order in for May and April now to maybe get them by then if I'm lucky. And so we're definitely having to adjust. And I talk to the students about it every time it comes up. Things we were planning on doing this month, I got a call last week that everything sold out and we can't do it. So we had to adjust. And so kids, I share it with the kids so they can kind of see that. Obviously to our customers, you know, prices are up, so we have to charge more, unfortunately. But that's just kind of really the floral industry. It was hit hard because when everything shut down, there wasn't events going on. Weddings couldn't happen. None of the large events that you would see flowers out were happening. And so that affected demand back then. And so there's just not enough stuff that's being grown right now to meet the demand with things opening back up right now. So we're just playing catch up and prices are high.
And it's the same everywhere with us, and anybody who drives by a dealership knows that they don't have any vehicles. But on the upside, that is good for our students or our technicians, because you can't trade your old vehicle in for a newer one. So it's forcing you to take your vehicle and let a technician fix it so you can drive it some more. So our demand, the demand for technicians is going up, but also our parts, because even though a lot of the manufacturers have plants in the United States, we still have other things that are shipped, from overseas, and you can't get those. So your vehicle may be sitting, waiting for that part. So it hits us on that. But as far as the technician side, it may increase the need, because now there's more people bringing their vehicles to be worked on, because they're not just going to get rid of it and buy a new one.
Well, I'm sorry that y'all are facing so many issues with just, everything that's going on with the pandemic and Snowmageddon. And it sounds like there's, pros and cons to what's gone on and the overall economy that has positively and negatively affected your particular trade. So obviously increase in business is great, but only if you can get the materials to do what is needed to be done. So there's obviously got to be a balance. So I definitely thank you all so much for having a conversation with me today, just about what you guys do with AISD and sharing a little bit of insight into your particular trades. We've got a couple of minutes left. I would love for Jamal and Lacey to talk more about the concept of the Dan Diaper Career Tech Center being an open campus for the community to come have their car serviced or to do floral arrangements and whatever event may be happening. Lacey, I know that you do 2 or 3 major events a year. You've got your Floral of the Month Club, and then you've also got a holiday plant sale, I think that's coming up, or holiday arrangements.
Yeah, so I'm not actually over the greenhouse anymore because our floral program has grown. But yes, so floral design, we can do any type of floral services. We've already done a very large wedding this year. We got another wedding booked next year already. Our Design in the Month Club, this year we opened up to 50 members, so we are full this year. But if anyone ever needs information, we have a website that's tied to our Dan Diaper Career and Technical Center website. If you just go and click on services, you can find all of our contact information and what we offer. But if there's ever a need for floral designs, you can always email me too. And my email is lwood3@aisd.net.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lacey.
The same location. So if you go and click on services in our Dan Diaper Center, you will find our contacts, jharvey3@aisd.net and gfoot@aisd.net. And because of the shutdown last year, we are running a smaller amount of Auto 2 students, but we're just about to open back our services. So you would input whatever it is you need done, it will send us the alert, and we will email an estimate back to you and then schedule an appointment. So, but again, with the amount of students we have, it will be smaller things, but anything that a customer has, put it on there and we will let you know if we can do it or if it's too big.
Awesome. And Candace, I just want to double check with you. I'm not aware of any, the welding services, but please, I would love for you to share if welding does services as well to the community.
At this time, not yet. No. Hopefully, eventually, yes. We focus mostly on certifying our students per American Welding Society, D1.1 structural. And that takes a lot of time to get those kids ready to do that. But I've seen grown men not be able to pass the test that these kids can pass. So these guys, we have an incredibly high standard, above the TEKS standard for the kids that come here to the Dan Diaper Career Tech Center.
Thank you all so much again for joining me today. And thank you everybody for tuning into this panel, Entrepreneurship in the Career and Technical Education. I thank you guys for tuning in during GEW, and we hope that you find some other panels that you are interested in and enjoy those throughout the week. Again, to my panelists, thank you so much. We truly appreciate your time and taking your time away from your students today to have this conversation. And if anybody is interested in learning more about the Dan Diaper Career and Tech Center, please reach out to me at the Greater Arlington Chamber of Commerce. I am Alicia Collins Butler, the Director of Education, Workforce, and Community Development. Thank you guys and have a great day.